Hello everyone. So this is an update on all my coffee cup Hoyas. I'm sure you know that some of these were repotted with you and the rest I showed you in my Hoya collection part 3 or 2. So coming to Hoya Crimson Princess, can you see the roots? Right? It has settled into the media. If you remember, I had to insert a lot of leaves also into the media just to keep this shape, so the vine would be rooting into the pot, because this is a long vine which can uproot itself out of its media. So therefore I added a lot of pebbles also just to keep this intact, right? But if I show you closely, all around there are roots, and this did not receive any transplant shock. In fact, it's even happier. That's what I can see from all the rooting it's doing, and because the leaves have not dropped off. So Hoyas are okay to be going into the media with some leaves. They will not die, right? But only if the media remains airy, right? So you can see that there are a lot of air holes. And coming to my moon shadow, it's also doing very fine. I've had to cut off the top part of this and reroute it into the same cup because it was getting heavy and was kind of toppling over. When a Hoya vine topples over, because its leaves are very thick and heavy, or the vine is too long, there is a huge possibility for the vine to uproot itself without us knowing it. So because there are a lot of cuttings in this, I might not see it uprooting, which will dehydrate it, right? Because the foliage at the bottom is quite heavy, and because of all these leaves, I cannot see it. So I have further secured it with pebbles, as you see, and the rooting is fine on this too, right? If you see, wherever I have inserted a cutting, it's rooting, right? This is the one that is taking some time, but it's fine, right? So I'm leaving it as it is, right? And let's see how this leaves out. I am yet to see new leaves from the moon shadow, right? And my Hoya Pachicolada, you can see the rooting, right? Because the cup is transparent, it's very clear that it rooted and pulled itself towards water, right? So this stabilized itself by rooting into the media, right? There's a small leaflet also. I have two of these, right? One here also in the bottom there. So all the other cuttings are doing fine too, right? These leafed out bigger than the existing. This is a new leaf, as you can see, and this is another new leaf which is very big, right? So I'm loving the progress it has. This also did not drop any leaves, right? This I chopped up and repotted into the same pot because it was too long, right? And I need to show you my rotundiflora. This I had to downsize because there was no leaf growth, right? I was watching this for months. Then after my Hoya collection video also, I gave it another month to see what's happening to this. So since there were still no new leaves, right? So these are not new leaves, even if they seem like this because of the sunshine. I uprooted it and I saw there were still small cocoa husks pieces hanging onto the tiny root system it had. So therefore it was restricted from airflow. So I downsized it and gave it new media. I cleaned out all the roots and gave it new media. So what you see here is my Nemmeloides. I gave it a new trellis from the scrap leftover pieces of cane, and some leaves started dropping after I inserted this, because I obviously disturbed its root structure when I pushed it into the media, right? So this has always been a touch and go situation for me, but it's pulling itself out of danger every time. So now I'm not gonna change any media or anything. I'm just gonna leave it be, because I've already disturbed it with this trellis. And this is an important thing I want to show you, my Hoya water. This is actually a Dischidia water, also called the watermelon Dischidia. This started giving out like leaves which do not get bigger, right? More smaller than this. So what I did was, this was scraggly looking, so I chopped it into 2 node cuttings and rerooted in the same cup, right? Now it looks a bit fuller, like something that you bought from Costa Farms or Lowe's. So this is what you can do. Normally when you receive a vine, and if the top is very bare, right, you can let it grow out and reroot them in the same pot, right? Because these vines are very thin, so you can easily insert them if you poke a screwdriver or something into the media, and then slowly insert the vine without hurting any leaves or roots, because all throughout the vine it will be rooting. You can see what's happening here, right? So see, it's rooting itself. And that's the update on the top layer. And coming to this, the elliptica, I had to move here because this got ashy vine when it was repotted, because it was receiving direct sunlight, which was too much for the plant in its transplant state. So what I did was, I bought it here, but within a day it lightened, got back to its green and lightened the dehydrated state, and now it's doing fine, right? So there are some leaf growth in some of the others which are here, and these also I slowly tied them using a zip tie, because this shouldn't be restricted, because this became very dodgy to me and started dropping leaves. So I cut them into 3 pieces and repotted that. And you already saw my Croniana splash, and Crimson Queen, it has leafed out. This is a new leaf. This is my other Pachacalada, and my Bertonia is pulling itself out of danger slowly, but I am not at all happy with this plant and its growth. I might actually chuck this away right? And this too, this is not rooting. I do not know. I've received all this as one order, right? All the others pulled through, and they are even huge than any of these, but they are not doing, like, these are not doing that well, right? These were always, you know, troublesome. And even this dehydrated, and so the leaves here all are dehydrated, and these vines are fine, right? The reason is it's always blooming. So always blooming can stress out a plant, right? There are two peduncles, right? This is the other one, right? So they are always blooming, and it absorbs a lot of energy from this since it's been repotted. Also, the transplant shock is too much for this plant. Now, when we grow Hoyas, we do not take off peduncles. If you really want to, you can. I have done it with this because this had a huge amount of peduncles. Leaving this, I took off a lot, right? Because it was trying to bloom, but the plant did not have the expected energy for it to bloom, so the peduncles were already blasting, so the buds were blasting. So I had to do something, and since there was no growth, right, no new growth, I knew there was something wrong inside. So that is a hint, guys. If there's no new growth on your plant, like in my rotundiflora, this also had the same issue. It's a sign that you need to look into your roots and maybe repot, right? And even after repotting, this went through some shock. That's why it became ashy white. But when I gave it some shade, real shade, it became fine, because we also started receiving heavy sun, right? The humidity was off the charts. So that is the reason these would you know, normally decline after a repot. So these signs I have spoken about in my previous video of signs of dehydration. So that's my next level. But coming back to this, so this plant, I had to chop off half of its leaf because it was previously residing here, right? And it was was actually landing on this when it was growing. So the sudden weather change we had, it actually fried this leaf, which was, resting on this while growing. So I chopped it off. I will further chop off the whole leaf when it starts leafing out more. So what I thought was, I will be changing its home of residing to here. Right, I'll have to be very careful and insert this, right, and give this much more shade. Right. So if I show you how the plants here are doing, my Hushkiliana and my Jerry, the variegated and the normal version, they are all doing fine, right? And even the string bean. And I'll show you my can you see how it's leafing out, right? So the leaves are really nice, the veining is really nice. So it loves here, right? I will definitely have to remove it from the level, because it's not gonna work out here when it throws a stem, and it's blooming, right? It's always blooming. So these are frequent bloomers for me. And my rucifolia, million hearts, and the others are also doing fine, right? Leafing out, all new leaves, right? The Rubida, it's all doing fine, right? So I can say none of them are facing any problems, but you know, you'll never know, right? I have removed plants from here. There was a plant which was here with a lot of foliage, but I removed it, so I have easy access to flush them, to water them, to remove their cups and reinsert them with cups when it's too hot, right? All of these got flushed today. That's why the cups are not there, right? So they are doing fine, and I'm giving them space, right? I always change them around, but these love it here. The bow here, it loves it here, right? So I have not moved them, and I am further resting this on the bar of this rack, but it didn't seem to be hurting it, because comparing to this side, this is receiving less sun, this is receiving direct sun, right? So whatever Hoya which loves direct sunlight has to be kept to the you know, towards the where the sun hits the most. Thank you guys for watching. If there are any questions about any of these, please drop a comment. I love reading your comments, and I'm so grateful for all the compliments you give me, right? And hope you have a blessed weekend. Bye.